Okay, we left off on Mesil Sisharim, page test. Page test.
Hypothetical.
He had said in the second paragraph on page test that to be entitled for this good, which is ultimately is Dveikus B'Hashem, what is the medium to bring that about? Is mitzvahs. V'nei soma HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'odem b'mokeh sherabim bo hamarchikim osu menu yisborach. Hashem put us in a location where there are many, he says, factors which distance itself from Him. What are they? Why is this world a location where we're distant from Him? Heimehim hatavos hachomrius, physical desires. That's always that gets between us. We have our own priorities. We have our own ways. We have our own conflicts of interest, which we see things in a distorted way. Asher mimoshech achrein, if a person allows himself to be drawn after his desires of the physical, hinu misrachik v'olech min hatov hamiti. He's distancing himself and he's leaving something that's truly good. I'll give you an example. Person, has a scholarship to get the best education. And every day he cuts class. And he's never going to get, because he doesn't attend class, he doesn't take the test, he's not going to get the diploma. So what has he done? Where does he end up? So he ends up with nothing. Identically the same thing. A person who allows himself to be drawn after the physical desires, he's actually distancing himself and he's abandoning what's truly good. Every human being, we're literally in a serious struggle, in a war. It's a battle. Right? We're torn between, we understand what's right, even if you understand what's right. But still, it's a tug of war. Because simultaneously, there's a craving for our physical desires. That doesn't change. He says, every situation in existence, for good or for bad, everything's a test. Everything in life is a test. Even when you do a mitzvah, it's a test. I mean, you read the Nefesh HaChaim, person does a mitzvah, and all of a sudden you start priding yourself that you did the mitzvah. You could actually, you did the mitzvah perfectly. The moment you pride yourself that you did the mitzvah is diminished immediately. Although initially it didn't enter your mind till after you did the mitzvah.
Why?
It's called gaiva.
No, but if you probably did a mitzvah, you feel it.
No, there's different types of pride, right? If you feel privileged, there's difference pride and privilege. I feel privileged that I was able to serve Hashem. That's fine. That's privilege. Pride means I'm somebody special. I'm more than someone else because I did this. You mean you want to get mileage on God's account?
Sometimes you do mitzvah, for other people to see.
That's not pride. That's not pride. That's a kiddush Hashem. Just to the contrary, that enhances your mitzvah.
No. You do a mitzvah for other people.
No. To encourage other people. You want to be a role model for others.
Different.
Yeah, that's why you do the mitzvah.
No, I thought,
Let's see, the person normally, would do a mitzvah in concealment. But he does it publicly to be an encouragement for others. To value what you're doing. Because if you do it, others will do it.
But that's the motivation. That's great.
Pride only when you tell somebody else about it. So pride
Even if you feel it in yourself. Even.
help you do it again.
But it still diminishes it. It's still, again, if you feel privileged, just the opposite. Then it enhances the mitzvah. How many people feel privileged that they're able to serve Hashem? Right? It's a special level. But if you feel you're better than most because of that's already that's pride. That's a negative. It's not a positive, because that's gaiva. I'll give you an example. Moshe was Onav Mikol Odom. Moshe knew he knew more than anybody. Nobody had a relationship with Hashem as he had. So, he wasn't a fool. Chas v'sholom. He knew who he was, right? When he had to break the luchos, he broke it. He didn't even consult with Hashem, right? He understood that was the right thing to do. So it's not. He was a person who had a lack of confidence, Moshe Rabbeinu. So what way was he so humble? How did the humility manifest itself? Because even though he was what he was, there's no therefore. I'm this, therefore. There's no therefore. I am what I'm supposed to be. And you say, thank God I was able to address what I was supposed to address. That's privileged. And I'm one of the lucky ones. You know, I can go off the beaten track and end up who knows where. You say, Baruch Hashem.
I mean, in his situation, he was Prince of Egypt. He had all the opportunities to not do it because of who he was. A person who's humble, grows up with not much, has a connection to holiness.
No, you're addressing something else. I'm just saying the fact. If a humble person doesn't mean to say he doesn't know who he is. He definitely knows who he is. I always tell over the story of Moshe Feinstein. Said there's a famous tshuva he wrote, response on artificial insemination. That's permitted. It's not considered adultery. It's not considered adultery. Even if it's from another man, a Jewish man, it's not considered adultery. Although he says it shouldn't be done because you could end up a brother marrying a sister. Because if the woman conceives and you don't know, you lose track of what's going on, but it's not considered adultery. There was a storm, a reaction to his psak you can't imagine. Then he disagreed with him, but he kept his position, didn't change. So there was a person in Eretz Yisrael had written to him, to Ramosha. Ramosha was a very humble man, very, very humble in everything, the way he conducted himself. And writes him, he says, he's never heard of such a psak. Somebody wrote him, he says, you consider yourself a das Torah. You consider yourself a Torah mind. You're this, you're not worthy, and you're not qualified to give such rulings. Where do you have the audacity? So Moshe writes back to him. It's printed. And he says, you're telling me what a das Torah is? He says, in my life, a secular thought never went through my mind. You understand? His mind was always fully occupied with only Torah thoughts. You're going to tell me what a das Torah is? It means he's a humble man. Never in any way speaks about himself, but he's coming to defend Torah. So it has nothing to do with who he is regarding himself. It's only purely why this is a correct ruling, according to his scope and breadth of Torah and his understanding. It's a whole different understanding.
This is in the Igros Moshe?
Igros Moshe.
He printed it himself.
Yeah, they printed it. He has to print it. He's defending his psak. Even Rav Avad Yosef said on the person who wrote him this response, this criticism, he said the man violated the law of disgracing a Talmud Chacham. The way he wrote with such a level of disrespect to him. Ramosha was still Ramosha. You want to disagree on this? We have a right to disagree. People of a similar stature, but you speak with respect. What? You're not speaking to an ordinary person here. What? Whatever he had? No, whatever. A person, let's say his predicament, he's impoverished. Poverty. It's a different type of issue. The poor man has his issues, the rich man has his issues. King Shlomo pen ezba v'chichashti v'amarti mi Hashem. He says, Shlomo says initially, maybe I'll be sated, and I will lie. And I would say, who's God to tell me how to live my life? Because what engenders arrogance? Wealth, power, right? Power. Who has power? The wealthy man. The Gemara says in Nida, there are a number of people Hashem cannot tolerate. One is Oni Balgaiva. Man has nothing and he's a Balgaiva. What are you priding yourself about? You're acting arrogant. The rich man, at least he has a basis why he should behave arrogantly. It's wrong, but he has a basis. But you? Therefore, he says he cannot tolerate such a person. V'gonaftik, a person who pena voresh, v'gonaftik. He says, but if I'm impoverished, I may steal. And I'll justify stealing because I have nothing. V'tofasti, shem elokoi. Yeah, and I misuse the name of God. I mean, a person falls on hard times, starts complaining. Meaning he may actually swear false. Hashalvi mitzarecha, the yisur mitzarecha. A person has tranquility. A person has only unlimited suffering. Rav regardless of what your predicament is, you have what to contend with. You know, as they say, life is not a bowl of cherries. There's always issues, whatever the issues are. And those issues are issues, whether it's children, whether it's health, whether it's emotion, whether it's livelihood, whether it's society, there's always issues. Okay? You know, and you can't talk out of turn. And even if you don't talk, you have certain way you feel. If it's unjustified, it's unjustified. I would say, you know, if you read the Ani Mamins, what is the Ani Mamin before Schar V'Onish? Right? Reward and punishment. It says God knows the thoughts and actions of man. It's not only He knows your actions, He knows your thoughts. Because every action is determined by what? What it's infused with. Lishma, shlo lishma. Person has a heretical thought. Lo surachrei levavchem, right? That's heresy. But if God doesn't know what's in your heart, in your mind, so how could He punish you for this? So before we speak of Schar V'Onish, we first have to establish God knows Masib b'nei Odom machshvosam. God knows man's actions and their thoughts. After you get that down, pat, now we can talk about Schar V'Onish. And therefore, and there's reward and punishment on every aspect of your existence, of your behavior. Whether it's internal, external, you're going to be rewarded or punished for that. So I'm saying, you know, the person doesn't have to speak much. The person has plenty. He has what we call the pekel. You know, sometimes, you know, he questions whatever it is. Today more than ever, you know, people say, you know, you ask at one time, if you'd ask any civilized, decent human being, do you believe in God? The response was immediately, of course. It wasn't even a question. Today you could speak to people, even certain rabbis, they want to defend their congregants, and say, Rabbi, do you believe in it? He said, at times, sometimes, you know, I waver on it. Waver. You're supposed to be the one, you're representing, you know, you're the man of the cloth. You know, you waver. Well, it's not so simple. You know, maybe it's not so simple. Either yes or no, so you go find yourself something else to do. You know, go work for the sanitation department. What are you hanging out in the shul, in the synagogue? You know, but people today, not so simple. Among kids, forget about it. College kids, high school kids, you believe in God? Not so simple. No, therefore they won't necessarily put on tefillin. You know, I told you I was once in Englewood and I saw a person, his son finished Shemona Esrei in 17 seconds, beginning to end, Mincha, Erev Shabbos. So I went over to him, I said, I'm surprised. You know, I know the person well. He says, you know, I hope he puts on tefillin every day. That was his answer to me. He says, I really hope he puts on tefillin every day, because it's not so simple. And one time, a person came from an observant family and lived with the family. Was it a question to put on tefillin? But if you're questioning, is there a God? It's not so simple. If there's a God, do you put on tefillin every day? Why should I put on tefillin? I question if there's a God. And that's where we're at today, in terms of the youth. Because everything is so, there's such confusion. The parents themselves, you know, they don't display it, they don't demonstrate it, nothing. So how's they supposed? The school's definitely not. You know, it's more, the emphasis is more cultural, the grade, or whatever it is. That's what it's about. To be continued.
That's always an issue. I mean, I guess every person struggles with that every day. You know, trying to the more you believe in God, the less you believe in God.
It's different. No, there's no more or less. Do you believe in God? Period. Now we can talk about levels. You know how it resonates. Right. Two levels. Do you believe factually there is a God? Now the question is, how does it touch you? That's another question. To what degree it touches you? But factually, there's not a question. No, there's a God. He's aware of everything. But does that really affect your life? Does it play a role in your life?